Hey everybody, welcome back to On the Fringe, or welcome to On the Fringe if you're listening for the first time. This is
Hmm.
Dave. Last week, one beer Dave. I'm here with Gavin,
Still Gavin.
still Gavin, and we are still talking about organized crime. So this was one of the first themes that we actually started talking about in Scam Farms, way, way, way back about 2 years ago when we started the podcast. And today, we're going to be touching on organized crime from the Indian subcontinent that is affecting North America and also in Europe. We're going to be talking about the Bishnoi Gang, aren't we, Gavin?
We are. So the Bishnoi Gang is a organized crime group listed as a terrorist entity in Canada
And
that
it's not for what they did with Cricket Canada. We're going to get into that later.
we're going to get into that in just a moment. It has to do with the assassination of, gosh, I always forget, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a secessionist leader in Canada who was shot. When did they shoot that fellow? It was in 2023.
It was
Uh,
2023,
almost
yes.
almost exactly 3 years ago. Who was involved with the Khalistan movement, and he was assassinated by members of the Bishnoi organized crime group, which is based, I would say, which is based in northern India, though exactly figuring out where everyone is kind of difficult. Lawrence Bishnoi himself, who's the group is named after, he is currently incarcerated. He's been incarcerated for some time, and he's currently in Gujarat in Ahmedabad, which is the main town out there. He's been there for a while now, I think. It doesn't really seem to have slowed down the group at all. There have been a lot of high profile assassinations of popular singers and political figures within India and outside of India. And the backbone of the organization, certainly in the last couple of years, has been extortion, particularly targeting the South Asian diaspora in the US and Canada, and allegations of possible connections to other large groups in India, which we may get into later or we may not. But the key thing is they are an active, violent, and very well organized group that is able to hit people just about anywhere. Whether you're in the middle of Punjab or in the middle of Mumbai, suburban Canada, or in the middle of Portugal, they will use violence, they will threaten your family, and they will do it in such a way that it is incredibly difficult to actually arrest anyone. Um,
Yeah. And they primarily target people from South Asia and of South Asian descent, largely. And I think that's one reason why it does largely fly under the radar, especially in the
yeah,
US and in Canada, is a lot of the authorities in Canada have said we are having trouble dealing with these guys because I think, my opinion, they don't have connections and they really, there's a huge gap between how this gang actually works and how this gang actually recruits and how the police in Canada are trained to essentially stop this kind of an organized crime network. And it's probably difficult for them to reach out to the people that they target. So they're largely targeting students and they're largely targeting people that are in Canada that are there on temporary visas or people directly from those diaspora groups within the country.
there also, I think there is a generational thing going on here as well. This is a very young group. Lawrence Bishnoi, who is the Don, who seems to be the centerpiece of this organization, he's younger than I am. He's 33. So this is a group of young, tech savvy, highly motivated people from, Punjab has a reputation of having a large diaspora because it is a pretty rural area with not a lot of economic opportunities and a lot of people who want to get out to better things. And there is a huge huge Punjabi diaspora all around the world. By the way, it's worth noting the Bishnoi group is not a Punjabi organized crime group. It's an Indian, South Asian organized crime group. They're people from all kinds of ethnicities and backgrounds. Lawrence Bishnoi himself is not Punjabi, but this is a complex, hard to pin down organization. And boy, do they just have some creative people working for them. Can we just get to what the hell's going on with Cricket Canada?
Well, this is a huge mess, and I think it's a huge stain on sports in Canada. Because
Hmm.
essentially, Cricket Canada is funded by the ICC, the International Cricket Council. 60, I think it was 63, 64, 63% of their funds come from the ICC. The Canadian government gives them like $80,000 a year for the country's official cricket team.
Hmm.
So players on the Canadian cricket team are getting maybe $3,000 to $4,000 to go and participate in the World Cup, which is not very much. If you're an athlete and you're playing at the professional level
Chicken
for
change.
cricket, exactly, you're getting paid in peanuts. So
Hmm.
these guys are very susceptible to offers from outside. It could be from organized crime. It could be from other people that want to essentially fix matches. There have been allegations in the last couple of years, especially between
Hmm.
matches between Canada and South Africa, and also there was a match between Canada and New Zealand, that there has been real match fixing going on, where individual players have played a certain way to essentially help people that are making bets on these matches to make a ton of money. For example, the captain of the Canadian cricket team made a huge blunder on his first bowl versus South Africa, and he stepped over the line. And this is something, if you're playing cricket, you generally don't do. It's like if you're playing at the professional level, you shouldn't do this. And you make a blunder like that, people are going to be making bets throughout the whole entire match. And the CBC said there was an actual transcript of what people had created for this match, essentially WWF style of how this match was going to go. So they were trying to rig the whole entire thing. And you could buy that for like $37,000.
You're
And if
telling
you
me that
had
the
that,
WWF, WWE isn't a legitimate athletic program?
it is, Gavin. Look at them. They're huge and they're muscular. And it's like they're doing all of these crazy flips, and it's a hell of a performance. I
I
bet
mean,
they could.
you're
I bet
telling
the
me that
under.
whacking a guy with a ladder while he's standing on a chair on a table
Oh.
is not a legitimate display of athletic prowess?
I think like if you were mankind and you had Sacco and you take out Sacco and like smash that into somebody's face, I think
We
that
need
would
to
get them
bring
to
back
surrender too.
Sacco. We need to bring back Sacco. So Sacco for 2028. I mean, honestly, at this point. Anyway, what we're talking about is only half as kooky as what was going on in Cricket Canada. So there are two things that we were talking about previously that you brought up that, Dave, they blew my mind.
Yeah.
The first is I'm not surprised. You've already talked about this. You just talked about this. Of course, you can bet on all of these wonderful things on prediction markets all over the world. This is all available. The bets are there and ready to go. Multiple platforms, easy to do. Even just thinking about prediction markets is still wild for me. The second thing, which is I think really critical to understanding all of this, and when you told me, I said, Dave, we got to pack up and go to the Yukon immediately. We need to start racing sled dogs. Uh, you
Chihuahuas.
cannot.
We should race Chihuahuas. I don't
We
think
should race your. Hey, I pay myself for that. I'll be honest. You cannot be spot fixing is not a crime in Canada. Dave, do you want to talk about that?
yeah, this is something that I found when I was doing research for
Which is
the podcast.
crazy.
It is. There's no actual crime of spot fixing in Canada, but there's a law against cheating to defraud. So,
So can you just, for people who are not degenerate gamblers, can you just explain what spot fixing is?
so from my understanding, I'm not a legal expert here. Spot fixing is essentially going, okay, I've got a free throw coming up, and
Mm.
I'm going to intentionally miss this free throw so it changes the outcome of the game. Or I'm going to alter my performance to essentially change the outcome of the match.
So, an individual spot or act, if I decide that I'm going to do it in a certain way beforehand, or if I go in with an agreement, that in itself is not necessarily a crime. What is it? What is a crime? And again, I'm not a legal expert either, so please don't listen to this. My understanding is that in and itself is not a crime. It only becomes a crime when it becomes part of a larger conspiracy. When you're trying to come up with a particular outcome for the game instead of changing specific events within the game. Is that the basic difference?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so.
Well,
So
anyways, you see,
you're changing part of the game to influence the larger game.
yes. Anywho, this is the tip of the iceberg in terms of what was going on. My understanding was that there were allegations that people in the upper echelons of the
A couple years
organization
ago.
were just completely mismanaging things, were making decisions that didn't make any sense unless maybe you were trying to make money off of things. There have been, as we mentioned at the beginning, numerous officials related to Cricket Canada have been extorted, have had their houses shot at, have received menacing messages. Messages have been sent to news organizations. It is a hot mess. And Canadian officials are saying right now they're not sure where all of this leads or how they're going to clean this up. Is that a fair assessment? Dave, are you frozen in time? Hello? Are we back?
I think we're back. Sorry for
Oh
the
no.
keep
You've
going.
been you've been targeted by the Bishnoi Gang too, I see.
They're going after me. Well, they're probably going through Elon's satellite network.
Or they whoa, you don't know.
They could.
You don't know, man. That's totally possible. Anyways, I was just saying that things kind of seem like a hot mess right now and was just asking you if you agreed.
Yeah, I do. Looking at what's going on in Canada right now, they, I think, are completely almost at a loss of what to do.
Hmm.
And I think the Bishnoi gang sees blood in the water, and they're
Hmm.
going to continue to extort organizations in Canada and students and Canadians and temporary visitors and permanent residents. This is going to be a long battle that the Canadian government, I think, can't fight by itself. It's going to have to work with India to actually fight this. And if relations between these two countries continue to teeter, I mean, they're better than they were a couple of years ago. But if they do continue to teeter, this is going to be a battle that I think the Bishnoi gang knows that they can win. And it's not going to be something that people see on the surface of, oh, you've got tagging and you've got, organized crime that's in your face, but it's going to be permeating through Canadian society and it's going to be taking over a lot of organizations. And to me, this is a test case. Cricket
Hmm.
Canada is a test case. They can go in there and they can influence Cricket Canada. What other organization can they go into? Well, they go into other Canadian sports potentially. Will they
Have
go into
they
field
done so
hockey?
already?
Have they done so already? Just opens up Pandora's box.
It absolutely does. It's kind of like the 50s, and all of a sudden you realize that all those nice gentlemen meeting up in upstate New York might not just be running social clubs. On that note, if you found this interesting, you want to know more about the Bishnoi Gang, we will probably cover this in future podcasts. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your enemies. And if you are listening to this on Apple or Spotify, or actually wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a review, star rating, and comments would really be appreciated. You know, Dave, we've really been so blessed with our community so far. Our listeners, we have very dedicated listeners. They've really carried us. But if you could just sort of spread the good word, we'd appreciate that.
Right. And if you don't have the time or you don't have the bandwidth to do it, please take 30 seconds and just leave us one word or a star rating if you enjoyed the podcast. It would make a huge difference to us. It really would. And we can't say it enough. Thank you so much for your support. And we're looking forward to having you guys back on another episode of On the Fringe in the future. Gavin, it's time for me to hit the button.
I was going to say that, those are some words I can't say enough, but hit the button.
Oh, those words? I thought you were going to say
The,
something else.